This man has flown in more exciting types of aircraft than can be healthy. Okay, I know, I'm just jealous. Here's John Nichol Flies.
This is Luanda, the capital of Angola in southern Africa. Despite massive mineral wealth, the people of Angola have one of the lowest standards of living in the world. Ravaged by disease, famine, and almost 3 decades of civil war, Angola is totally reliant on aid to get back on its feet. Because of Angola's poor infrastructure, the food aid largely has to be delivered by air, and one famous aircraft is playing a major role in getting the food to the most vulnerable. That aircraft is the Lockheed Hercules. The Lockheed Hercules, or C-130, is a remarkable aircraft. For nearly 50 years, it's been delivering cargo, troops and food aid to the remotest corners of the earth. Whether they're the deserts of Africa, the jungles of the Far East, or the ice caps of the polar regions. With its familiar wide-bodied shape, the Hercules has become a symbol of hope for wounded or beleaguered troops, victims of famine, or those in need of rescue from natural disaster. The Hercules the World Food Programme uses is the L-100, and it's this aircraft which undertakes the considerable task of distributing aid throughout Angola. Distribution of the aid is an incredibly complex process, and the man responsible for that is the director of the World Food Programme here in Angola, Francesco Hockey Castro. What's the role of the World Food Programme here in Angola?
At this particular time, we are very much concerned about the possibilities for restructuring, for reconstructing, for the recovery phase. We're coming out of a period of war, many people moving around, they don't have the means to fend for themselves, including food security. And the World Food Programme is well positioned here to undertake these tasks in rebuilding the infrastructure in the rural areas and providing a better livelihood for many of these families. And we're just doing our job here, trying to avoid people from starving.
Why is the Hercules so important in the operations, and what sort of areas do you use it in?
Well, basically because with the utilization of this aircraft, we have been able to solve many of the access problems. There aren't many good roads, there aren't many bridges. Many of the areas have been heavily mined. There are millions of mines here, both against people and against tanks. So they're laying around and people just cannot go about their business normally. One area, for instance, where we are very concerned in reaching these people with sufficient amounts of food at the proper time is in the province of Cuando Cubango, an area called Mavinga, where basically we've had to feed for the last 6 months over 100,000 people. And we have been able to do this only because of the utilization of this aircraft.
Without the Hercules, that operation would be impossible.
It would be very difficult. We will really have to take many more risks, and basically would not be able to do it in the same way. We would not have been able to reach these people on time. I'm afraid we would have to suffer losses of human lives, yes.
The World Food Programme saves lives in Angola because the Hercules can land on short, unprepared airfields that are simply inaccessible to other aircraft of its size. What's more, it can do this carrying loads of up to 70 tons. And even when a hostile environment or difficult terrain make landing impossible, the Hercules can still deliver large loads from the air by low parachute drops, utilising its rear cargo doors. These capabilities are common now, but they were pretty radical in the 1950s when the United States Air Force was seeking a new transport aircraft to replace its aging fleet. The result was the Lockheed C-130A, the Hercules prototype that first flew in 1954 from the company's airfield in Georgia. The flight lasted just over an hour, but it was the start of a flying career that has seen the Hercules fly 23 million miles in service with operators from over 60 countries. Powered by 4 Allison turboprops, it has a wingspan of 130 feet and a 44-foot cargo bay. Over 2,200 have been built, and the latest version, the C-130J, is still in full production. The World Food Programme has been using the Hercules for many years as part of its huge worldwide relief effort. Chris Nichol, head of logistics in Angola, told me how the programme works.
The World Food Programme is a program of the United Nations, mandated by the General Assembly, but it is different from other agencies or specialized agencies of the United Nations in the sense that it's a completely donor-funded program. In other words, donor countries are at liberty to contribute to it, to the activities of the World Food Programme or not. The World Food Programme does not receive sort of regular assessments from the member countries.
How much is the Hercules used for your operation?
Presently, the Hercules alone provide food assistance every month for about 143,000 people. In other words, there are about 143,000 people in Angola right now who depend entirely on the deliveries made by the Hercules aircraft for their monthly food rations. And in tonnage terms, that's about 2,300 to 2,400 tons a month.
So the Hercules moves vast amounts of food around this war-torn country. To get an idea of the scale of the operation, I drove through Luanda's crowded shantytowns to the WFP's main warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Here, I met El Said Cyril Katim, logistics officer in charge. How much food do you have stored in the whole of this complex?
The total capacity is 21,000 tons.
Right.
But currently we have 10,000 tons.
I mean, that's a huge, it's a big complex. Is it the only one that you have here in Luanda?
Yes, it is the only one we have.
And are you only holding grain in this complex?
We have vegetable oil, and we have milled maize, and we have corn soya blend, that is called CSB, in addition to beans and maize, sugar and biscuits.
For the people who need it most, this food's no good in the warehouse, and the only way to get it to them is to fly it. So I'm going to take a Hercules trip to one of the most inaccessible parts of the country, to Mavinga airstrip in the southeast of Angola.